some of the biggest names in the cigar industry, all this and so much more. So sit back, grab your favorite smoke, and enjoy. Right here on Smoke Cigars, Saturday at 11 a.m. right here on WTN Radio Network.
Have you ever had the desire to do something adventurous, exciting, fun, delicious, or suspicious, and don't know why or when it hit you? Well, now you'll know. 441-3311. Yes, you'll hear it right here on your own local radio station. You can shout your message to the world. Get people to come to your business, enjoy your services or goods, and the good news is it's affordable. Call 441-3311 at 727-441-3311. And, oh, by the way, my name is Lola.
Hello, this is Pryor Smith speaking. Again, this winter season, vacationing Canadians are staying in touch with home, listening to Canada Calling throughout Florida. And right here on the Tan Talk Network, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. and 12 noon. Join me for Canada Calling, a 65-year listening tradition. WTAN AM 1340 and FM 106.1. WZHR Zephyr Hills, AM 1400 and FM 104.3. And WDCF Dade City, AM 1350.
Tampa Bay's Tan Talk. Entertaining and informative radio for the Sunshine State.
It's now time for Connecting Caregivers with author, speaker, caregiver advocate, and talk show host Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for caregivers.
Good afternoon and welcome to Connecting Caregivers on the Tan Talk Radio Network with me, Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregivers, on the show where you can find help and hope. And today we have the most fabulous Tommy, our producer, on the boards. Hi, Tommy.
Hey, good afternoon.
How are you today?
Very well. Yourself?
Joyful and grateful, you know me.
I knew that.
Yeah, you knew that. And as always, my best friend, co-host, and sidekick, not psychic, Lynn Thornley, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So I'm glad you're back. I missed you last week.
I know.
And you were in
Me
Boston.
Too. Yeah, had a good time though.
You had a Merry Christmas.
Had a Merry Christmas and glad to be home.
I'm glad you're home too.
Too many little ones running around.
Yeah, the little ones are good, but when you get to be a certain age, you need a little distance from the little ones here and there.
I don't know why they don't go to sleep every 10 minutes.
So we have some special guests on the show today. We have Shannon Stewart, who is a nurse practitioner and the white coat woman, and your biography is like 3 pages long. So I'm so glad that you're here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
And we're going to have a lot of conversation. And then we also have my good old friend, well, not old, my friends for a long time.
I'm the old one.
We have Karen Rizzo from Aging in America, and Joel Quattlebaum, who is our Senior Services Officer in Largo. So
Yay.
I'm glad that you guys are back here today.
Officer Joel Quattlebaum is by no means old.
No. I think he could be my son or my grandson or something like that.
Maybe he can call you Gal.
Yeah. That's it. From now on, my name is Gal to you.
Because she's the gal who cares for the caregiver.
Oh, wow. God, we're getting smart here. Okay, so Shannon. Just recently became a nurse practitioner, but like I said, your bio is crazy. You're a writer, you've written a new thing coming on, but all right, tell me a little bit about yourself and then I'll start asking the questions.
Well, I've written a book about grief. It's about the 5 stages of grief, and I have a different intake on each chapter to kind of keep people's attention. I make it entertaining. But at the end of each chapter, I add a little education in that book based on my blog, The White Coat Woman. So with that, I'm trying to use that to educate people. I've written, I'm writing a series of children's books.
Oh, really?
Yes, Eureka Teaches, and it's Eureka is my middle name, so it's based on
very cool.
Yeah, so it's based on the 7 to 8-year-old me, and it kind of gives life lessons to children in a way that they can relate to, and then solutions that they can understand and that the parents can appreciate. So I have those things coming out, but most of all, I'm an advocate for family members, especially going into the hospital, being a critical care nurse.
Oh, it's so important.
Yes, over 17 years. We see a lot in the hospital.
So tell me about being an advocate for someone during their illness, how important that is.
Well, when you go to the hospital, there's a lot of things that can go wrong that have nothing to do with your illness. There's systemic failures. There's no easy answer for those. Like your doctor may have a high patient load, so that's why you may spend a lot of time, not seeing the doctor for maybe you're waiting to see him, and then you see him for only a few minutes.
Right.
When the doctor sees you, they may want to discuss just the main point of why you're there and not the multitude of things. So that kind of inevitably makes you feel pressured, kind of rushed, and you don't really get to go over...
And exhausted.
Exactly. You don't get to go over your issues
right.
or, some of the important things you want to discuss. And so that's where, it's happened even with my family members. So I kind of step in as an advocate to address those type of issues. And sometimes it can take multiple calls, considerable time. Because if you think about it, the average age of nursing is, a registered nurse is 48 years old.
That's the average?
That's the average age. And nurses, yes, and they're understaffed,
yep.
undersupplied. And there's a literature out there based on safe staffing ratios, but like very few states adhere to those best practices. So a lot of times it's like the squeaky wheel that gets the oil.
Exactly.
Yeah, and nobody is, trying to neglect anyone purposefully, but payment is tied to HCAP scores. And so patient satisfaction kind of takes over in a lot of cases. So when we have family members that come to the hospital, we kind of come prepared. We have our medication list. We're documenting everything. Basically, we're like who we're talking to, what we're talking about, who's coming in and out of the room. We kind of become the squeaky wheel. And that's kind of what you have to do to make sure, your family members, being that advocate for your family.
Make sure that you're heard.
Yes.
And I tell my listeners all the time, if you go to a doctor that doesn't give you any time,
mm-hmm.
either he needs to give you some time or someone there needs to give you some time. And and I always say to my caregivers too, tape record your doctor when you're chatting if you can, because I know, even now when Lynn and I do things together, I take her with me because I can't remember everything, and some things just start floating over your head, or whatever, and you don't really hear it.
Exactly.
But if you go to your doctor and your doctor doesn't want to be tape recorded, you got an issue there.
And you should write it down what you want to ask, because I know I get in there and then forget.
You're like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, write down what you want to ask. But I think that's so important because, especially like the generation that we're caring for today, they're from that generation where the doctor says, the doctor goes, but if you don't even talk to the doctor.
Exactly. So,
and I find that's one of the biggest frustrations.
So I try to educate people on just being an advocate for their family members. When I have patients, I educate their family members. Stay there. Let me tell you what I'm doing. Don't just walk away and leave. Be an advocate for your family
and
member.
educate them on what questions to ask.
Exactly.
They don't know what questions to ask.
Right.
What we were saying just right before the show, either your caregiving experience, you went into it so gradual you don't even realize you're into it,
mm-hmm.
or it's that crisis overnight thing. And I see caregivers all the time. They run around that little tornado. I can do it. Some do pretty good. Some are still running.
Right.
So it's really tough. So besides what are some online resources you can recommend?
Well, I have 10 websites on my blog, The White Coat Woman. My favorite one is familydoctor.org. And there's a couple of resources there. One of them is Interactive Symptom Checker. I get a lot of people with questions about what's going on. Well, this Interactive Symptom Checker, you can put your symptoms in and it'll give you a pretty good idea.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't rely on it over your
totally,
doctor, right? But it'll give you a pretty good idea. And then there's the Neighborhood Navigator. And with that, it gives you local resources for financial assistance, housing, just a lot.
Because caregiving is not just medical.
Exactly, just a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, that's really important.
And then Linda's Caregiver Connection.
Oh,
there you go.
Caregivers Radio. But all right, so tell me about the White Coat Woman. First of all, I got to tell you, you look hot as heck in that white coat.
Thank you.
You're something else.
Thank you. Well, the white coat woman, my husband branded me Daredevil Bama Girl because
You are Daredevil Bama Girl.
I like rock climbing and different things like that, and I'm still keeping that brand. But in light of graduating from nurse practitioner school, I wanted to create a brand that would allow me to give back to my community and to the world at large, you know, while just reflecting on my expertise and the things that I know, right? And
the
what
talent
better,
you have,
right? And what better way to reflect that than the white coat? So,
I love the white coat. Well, I always like white. You know, you and I, it's like sharp and clean, and it's a good visual.
Yeah.
You know, for you for in the future.
I think of having your hands tied. And then in the white coats.
Oh, that's what you think of? Oh, you're funny, Jacqueline. Okay, no white coats for you. We'll get some pink ones. All right, so
I like pink.
I like pink too. Pink. Well, she's all pinked up today. She's got pink earrings, pink ring. She's the girl. So tell me about some of the short stories you've written.
Oh, the ones I mentioned, Grief. You can pre-order that, and also you can see a 1-minute book trailer on my blog.
Which is?
whitecoatwoman.com will give you a 1-minute book trailer of Grief. And it's really interesting. It's kind of sensational, and it'll just keep you interested and get you reading the book. And like I said, at the end of each chapter in that
I love that part of it.
You get the education in there as well.
I really love that, because we all need education. We all need to know new things, because many times we think, oh, we got it. I know it all, but we really don't have any idea. So what is your biggest suggestion for caregivers?
Oh my gosh, my biggest suggestion for caregivers is just stay involved, ask questions, keep asking questions.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah, and take care of
Take care of yourself
first. Yes.
Yeah, it's so very important.
Yeah.
So let's just go a little further here. So why did you decide to write a book about grief?
It's just because we typically, throughout our life, we go through multiple stages of grief.
Right.
And, you know, and just seeing that, being in the healthcare, I see it a lot. You know, I see it a lot in my own family. I see it a lot when I go to the hospital. So I just wanted to write something to kind of help people, entertain them, and help them and educate them all at the same time.
Well, you know, I think with grief, too, especially when you're a caregiver, many times you're grieving during your caregiving experience.
Exactly.
And caregivers don't realize that.
Exactly.
You know, they'll come to a support group, and I'll say to them, honey, do you realize you're grieving? And she goes, and I said, you're grieving the loss of what your loved one could do before. You're grieving what you thought your future was going to be. You're grieving that you're not as, because of your loved one, you're not as mobile as you're able to be.
Right.
And when I think when somebody comes into a caregiver support group and I say that to them, they go kind of like, thank you. Like, I'm wondering why I'm drained as heck. Because you're grieving things that you don't even realize. Because many times people just think of grief as death. A physical death.
Exactly.
But it's not always a physical death. It can be just a way of life.
Right, exactly. And that's what I show in my book about grief. Just, it's all the chapters are not all about death, but, you know, it goes through all those different stages, and it's very entertaining.
Yeah, it's good to have a good laugh. It's good to get some information. I feel that with my two books, it's the same way. You need to have a laugh. You need to have a tear. You need to get some information. And you need to grieve.
I know when I was looking after my husband, my mom passed, and I never grieved her until after he passed.
Wow.
But it made me a little
wacky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's very hard to grieve the loss of your mother when you're taking care of your husband, who's in such a hard situation. So you know what, caregivers, you're hearing me out there? Go do something nice for your neighbor that's a caregiver. Just go over and say hello. Bring over some dinner. A caregiver sent me an email a couple of weeks ago, right before the holidays, and she said, I don't listen to your show.
Well, thank you very much.
Hopefully she will now. She said, but my friend does, and another friend of mine used to come to your caregiver support group. And the other day they came to her house, and they brought her coupons from all the neighbors. Here's a coupon, I will take your husband for a walk for 2 hours. Here's a coupon, I will go to Publix and pick up your stuff. Here's a coupon, I'll pick up your prescription. Here's a coupon or whatever. And she said, it was hard for me to ask for help. But when they just came over and presented that to me, It made everything so much easier, and I was so much great. That is fabulous. So think about that, because sometimes the person that really needs your help doesn't know how to ask for it, doesn't know how to accept it. So just do it for them. Just go over and do it for them. And it's many different things you can do for them. A woman sent me an email a while back, and she said, I've been listening to your show for 6 months, but I'm a slow learner. And she said, my husband's dementia is to the point where I don't go anywhere anymore. I don't go to my activities. I don't see my girlfriends. She said, now I can't go to church. She said, no, I don't want to give up church. I've given up everything. I don't want to give up church. She said, well, my neighbor all the time asks if he can help me, and he's Jewish. She said, so I went over and I said to him, do you think maybe you could come and hang out with my husband when I go to church on Sunday? He said, I would love to do that. She said, so the first week I come home from church and they're playing dominoes, they tell her, go away. We don't need you here. So now every Sunday morning she gets 3 hours. She goes to church and she gets 2 hours. The neighbor's so glad to see his friend again. His friend is so glad to see him, and they're playing. Are you getting a little emotional over there? But it's sometimes, it doesn't take much. It's such a simple thing we can do. It's such a simple thing.
And I think once you ask for help once, it's not so hard the next time.
Right. Well, because you see the person goes, yeah, I want to help you.
Because my neighbor calls me. And at first she didn't. Now she does.
Right. And it's easy, right?
And then Linda came to pick me up at the airport. So she came to get my car because my sister and I travel heavy. And
like
the luggage
18
wouldn't fit in her
suitcases.
car. And I have an SUV, so she left her car there and took mine. But we didn't get home for 12 hours because she was taking it to her house. And that. My neighbor, who's a caregiver, I can't believe she was watching. I was very worried about you and Linda. You know,
she watches what we do. Where are you? That car was gone for 12 hours.
Yeah, she likes, and it's good because it's really an outlet for her to see people running and doing.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is. And actually her husband, who has Alzheimer's, if kids come, when your grandson came over, he was in heaven. He goes, oh, there's a little boy over there, and he loves to see the little kids.
Yeah.
You know?
And so anytime he wants one of my
No. You can borrow my house anytime.
Sometimes they're very good from the window. All right, guys, we need to hear from our wonderful partners and sponsors, because you know what the deal is. If you don't hear from them, you don't hear from me. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
The first shock came when my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. But even more terrible was the realization that Mom wasn't going to be able to care for him on her own. I struggled with sleepless nights and was completely overwhelmed with sadness and anxiety. Mom could no longer cope with Dad's sudden mood swings and the changes in behavior on her own. In different ways, they both needed help. Then I called Assisting Hands. I'm so thankful for them. So is my mom. Once again, we both have peace of mind.
Alzheimer's and dementia are devastating diseases, not only for the patients, but for their closest family members.
Right, and you so deserve that. So before we get into the end of our show, I want to go to Shannon quick, and please tell our listeners where they can be in contact with you.
You can contact me at www.whitecoatwoman.com.
And it'll be on my website, whitecoatwoman.com. We got you, honey.
And you might be surprised.
whitecoatwoman.com. And you can find my book on Amazon.
Okay, great. Joel.
Name's Officer Quadbomb. You can always reach me at Largo PD. My direct number, 727-586-7351. And if you have any questions, always remember, make me an instrument of your peace. And where there's a spare, let me sow hope.
I love you. I love you. And how many cops give out their phone number? Come on. Terry, people want to get a hold of you or Assisting Hands and other wonderful caregivers that can help them. How do they do that?
Assistinghands.com, and we're in the Pinellas Park.
And what's the telephone number at Assisting Hands? Do you know it by heart?
727.
Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah.
4211.
If you look at my website, all the information is on my website, Linda's Caregiver Connections. Thank you, as always, for being here today. Please like us on Facebook. We really appreciate that you're here. Tune in next week. Next week we will have Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire. She writes you a prescription to keep you in good health. So we'll have lots of conversation. Remember, God loves you all the time, and have a delicious day. That's the entertainer.
White woman.